Election headquarters. Here's Fred Childers with This Week in Louisiana Politics.
Welcome, I'm Shannon Hack. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics on your local election headquarters. A bill that would limit how close people can get to law enforcement officers doing their work is advancing in the legislature. Some fear it will put innocent people in jail. I broke down that legislation for you. The controversial bill from last year would make it so people could not approach a law enforcement officer within 25 feet if they are engaged in their duties and have told people to take a step back. Supporters of HB 173 say that they want to create a buffer zone for law enforcement officers doing their duties. State Representative Brian Fontenot says that 25 feet is far enough away for an officer to react to an oncoming attack.
At 25 feet, that person can't spit in my face when I'm making an arrest. The chances of him hitting me in the back of the head with a beer bottle is 25 feet. It sure is a lot more difficult than if he's sitting right here.
But advocates against the bill say it will hinder people's ability to record or simply view officers at work who potentially could be engaged in inappropriate behavior.
So candid critique of government and its officials, they matter very greatly in a free society. But also freedom of speech is a foundational American principle.
Fontenot says 25 feet is still close enough to be able to record police encounters, and he supports things like body cameras, not only to protect officers, but to hold them accountable. If someone breaks the 25 feet after an officer tells them to get back, they could face a $500 fine or up to 2 months in prison. A renewed push to bring back abortion to Louisiana failed in a legislative committee this week. New Orleans Representative Amy Freeman's bill would have enshrined into the state's constitution a person's right to make decisions on reproductive health care without the government stepping in. This included abortion, contraceptives, fertility treatment, and birthing options. Freeman said one of her main reasons for bringing the bill is because of the state's criminal punishments for doctors who perform abortions, leading to some fearing providing life-saving care.
I represent a lot of doctors, and I also have had many young women who are of childbearing age come to me and fear that if they have any pregnancy complications, they would have to leave the state.
The bill would have allowed voters to decide on if they wanted to allow abortion back into state law. But legislators said that they don't see abortion as health care and were concerned the bill didn't say when abortion would be allowed in the pregnancy. In the end, it was voted down 10-2. Louisiana lawmakers are also mulling over protecting a person's right to just contraception in state law. Debate was halted in a committee this week after some lawmakers wanted to clear up how some of the major lobbying groups stand. The House Health and Welfare Committee started the conversation around whether Louisiana wanted to enshrine the right to contraception into state law, but some testifiers made legislators start to second guess. HB 395 looked to prevent the legislature from passing laws that restrict the use of birth control, condoms, the morning after pill, and other contraceptives. It wouldn't have ensured access to it. The bill author says it already has federal protection through Supreme Court decisions, but she wanted it on the state law books.
I would say that it provides clarity that any other statute or regulation that the state passes is not intended to interfere with the fundamental right to utilize.
There was confusion in the committee when the powerful anti-abortion rights lobby Louisiana Right to Life told some members they were against the bill. Representative Delisha Boyd said when she discussed the bill with them, they did not take a position against it at the time.
Now being on the record of some confusion between, where they stand and what was being discussed before, I'd ask Rep. Boyd if he might consider a voluntary deferral.
Despite an amendment being added making it so any provider could opt out of prescribing contraceptives for any reason, lawmakers wanted more time to think about their votes. Another bill working its way through the legislature would remove the requirement to get an inspection sticker on your car. Rick Grogrieve spoke to New Orleans residents about what they think about the proposal.
Louisiana's brake tag requirement has been long debated by many, and that discussion has now reached the House with Bill 344 that would do away with motor vehicle inspections altogether. For some residents, this bill passing would not only save time, but also provide some much-needed extra cash.
Well, that would save money in your pocket, and it don't make sense for the brake tags because now you got the brake tags and they want the things on the back of the license plates. And like, what does it mean for that? What's just more money?
On the other hand, some believe brake tags are needed and that the bill would only cause more harm on the road as vehicles may be less regulated.
It's for safety, and we have to be careful. They check. I see it just right now. They check everything.
Others are somewhere in the middle.
You don't want someone with an unsafe car on the highway, right? You know, you want to make sure that everything works, brakes, signals, horn, everything, right? But on the other hand, like new cars, I mean, why do I need to get a brake tag for a brand new car? You know, it's just, everything should work on a brand new car. If not, that's why you got a warranty.
But if the bill was to eventually become law, many wonder how the state will replace the money brake tags generate.
What do they always do? They tax us, right? And you keep taxing the middle class. You know, so I'm assuming that taxes are going to probably raise to fill in the budget, fill in that hole.
Lawmakers are considering a bill that would raise the pay for jury duty. Currently, jurors in criminal court make $25 a day after the first day, and civil court jurors make $50 a day. But the proposed bill would raise the rate to $58 on the third day for criminal court in order to reflect minimum wages. It would also allow civil court jurors to make $80 a day on the second day of their service. Those in favor of the bill say it would help take financial pressure off of people called for jury duty.
I personally believe that is woefully inadequate. We compel individuals to serve on juries, and so as a result of that person being compelled, my concern is that it would create a financial hardship for them to serve on a jury, particularly if you're an hourly worker.
The payment amount was a deal worked out between State Representative Kyle Green, the Police Jury Association, and the District Attorneys Association. The final dollar amount will be amended onto the bill next week. And the St. Landry Parish School Board signed a resolution agreeing to oppose a House bill that would allow for state dollars to help pay for private school, and are urging local lawmakers to do the same. Renee Allen reports.
Well, some lawmakers say the state has funding concerns when it comes to funding public education. So why is it that a bill is being considered to help pay for private schooling? The bill is not solely about that, but that's the aspect that's getting a lot of the attention. School Board President Mary Ellen Donato says for the past 2 decades, public education has been underfunded.
And if we're going to divert even more money away from that makes our situation worse financially.
Plus, I'm told when the school system takes state and federal dollars, guidelines and accountability requirements have to be met.
Charter schools, they have to meet certain requirements in order to get those funds. But for those funds to just follow a child to a private school, I just don't. It's just not. It's not one of my things. It's not what I think is fair to the underprivileged.
The House bill also would provide stipend money to qualified parents to help with other education-related resources. And I'm hearing that Louisiana is not the only state with such a program. Reportedly, there are about 12 other states. Renee Allen reporting for KLFY News 10.
After the break, we hear the latest on the controversial debate over if the St. Tammany coroner should resign. And a program to help keep people out of jail is making changes in one parish.